will rue this day.
Elden Ring. A very challenging but very fun game that everybody has fell in love with. And its boss fights, well, saying epic would be an understatement. But how did we get here? Why does Elden Ring exist today, and why is there still invasions in the game? Because a lot of people don't really like invasions. But then again, a lot of people do. To answer this question, basically all you have to say is one word. Darksouls. The series became popular for its challenging and rewarding gameplay. It's a series known for its punishing difficulty, combat, and unforgiving gameplay, where a single mistake can lead to death. However, overcoming these challenges provides a profound sense of accomplishment for players, creating a highly compelling and rewarding experience. Its immersive world with its dark fantasy aesthetic draws players in. The interconnected level design and exploration enhance the immersion and make people want to discover more. I don't think this series would be as popular if it wasn't for the online multiplayer, such as the ability to leave messages for other players to see, or even see how they died in the game with the addition of bloodstains. The ability to summon other players for co-op play created a sense of community and shared experience, further strengthening the appeal of those games. The enemy variety and visually striking enemy designs and epic boss battles have become iconic with the gaming community, contributing to the game's memorable and challenging gameplay. Unlike other games who gave you long, drawn-out cutscenes, with the Souls series you had to piece together the story through item descriptions, environmental cues, and interactions with NPCs, further fostering a sense of mystery and allowing a deeper engagement and interpretation of the lore. And there is so much lore in these games. Or at least, that's the standard definition that Google seems to spew out. Hola amigos, it's me. I'm nobody. I tried doing some research behind the scenes to tell you exactly why Elden Ring exists today with the invasion system still intact. With the launch of Elden Ring, the Souls community has blown up to epic proportions, and it seems to be torn in half, with PvEers that hate invaders and PvPers, who are mostly invaders who are confused why the new kids are crying so much.
You know, it's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Come on, I'm only joking. But the entitlement is very real. My favorite argument is that Elden Ring is a PvE game, so you should be able to opt out of invasions if you don't want to be invaded. And it confuses the hell out of me because you in fact do have the ability to opt out of invasions. Just by playing the game solo, you can do just that, because in the new system you can only be invaded if you summon other players for co-op. But then of course my second favorite argument that people give me is that they should be able to play with their friends without an invader interrupting their progression. That argument always makes me think, man, they would have really hated the old games, where you could be invaded even while playing solo. Invasions have been a part of the Souls series since Demon Souls. I have not had the pleasure of playing Demon Souls or Bloodborne, sadly, but I have played Dark Souls 1 through 3. Sekiro is the only exclusion because it was a strictly single player game, so you couldn't get help or battle other players. But anyways, back on point. PvP has been in these games since the beginning, so you either had to avoid invasions by playing offline, or you had to learn how to defend yourself against these uninvited guests. I didn't start my PvP journey until Dark Souls 3, where me and my friend would just get bodied by invaders because we were just R1 warriors and couldn't figure out how they would just roll all over us. Playing solo, I would even hide until the invader left my world, because back then we didn't have trackers like Elden Ring has, so the invader would have to quite literally hunt you down.
Please don't hurt me.
But I got tired of all the hiding, and I wanted to be able to destroy anyone who was trying to destroy me. So I went to the most active PvP spot, which was Pontiff's, and I used the Darksouls 3 version of the Taunter's Tongue, and I would duel or fight anyone who came into my world. I used one weapon, which was the Gotthard Twin Swords, that could combo into other attacks very easily, and I fought with that weapon until I mastered it. And after a while I dabbled in the more difficult side and learned parries and how to effectively backstab my opponents. So why am I telling you this? I'm saying this because all the new players that Elden Ring has brought into the community didn't have to go through that journey. They don't know what it's like to get invaded solo, and if all you do is co-op, which is fine, but not setting out on your own to learn all the game's functions and not learning basic PvP to defend yourself, then of course you're gonna have a bad time and a negative experience when invaded. But wanting to opt out of invasions is like changing the rules of the game. And it's like everyone else is fine with learning PvP and PvE, but since you don't like it, you want to change the game to fit your needs. Let's get this straight. Elden Ring is in fact a PvE game that is meant to be played by a single player. So when you co-op, the game balances the difficulty by allowing your world to be invaded by another player. But that player is at a serious disadvantage because not only is the invader outnumbered, but the host also has more healing flasks and has the ability to use rune arcs, which makes them even more powerful, and the invader cannot. PvP does feel like it was thrown into the game as an afterthought, a last minute type thing, to appease the PvP side of the community. But the fact is that invasions are still in the game. And if your argument is that Elden Ring is a PvE game and that invasions should be removed or opt out of, then so should co-op, because it's mainly a single player game, because the bosses and enemies were not designed to focus on more than one person. Do you ever wonder why bosses have more HP when activating co-op? It's to balance the lower difficulty of having more than one person whacking away at the boss's health bar. Without the host, the invader would not exist. And invasions being in these Souls games is part of what made it stand out from the rest. And when you get burned out from playing the base game, PvP is the next step when you don't want to move on to a different game. It's been about 4 years since I first dabbled in PvP, and I'm still learning things every day. Invasions are special because everyone is different from the last. And not all invasions are violent. Sometimes you just goof around with your opponents or drop items to each other. Or you show them secrets which they might not even know. PvE made these games popular, but so did PvP. Who hasn't heard of Fighter PL, Chase the Bro, Prod, Lost, and Saint Riot? All who basically make a living off of their PvP content. All I'm saying is that having PvP in the Souls series is part of what made it special and rise in popularity, which gave birth to Elden Ring. And even though the PvP isn't perfect, it is still a big part of what keeps these games alive long after everyone else moves on to different games. But you are entitled to your own opinion whether you love or hate PvP. Just don't throw our fun aside in favor of yours. For me, if I see someone who doesn't want to fight when I invade, I leave. Or when I see them close to a fog wall, I just let them go through. There are toxic players on both sides. So if you just happen to get a toxic invader, which I'm sure you have, deal with them as you see fit. But please don't label all invaders as toxic just because someone gave you a bad experience and you couldn't defend yourself because you refused to learn PvP. Which is fine. Just don't blame the rest of us for liking a part of the game that you don't. and we won't blame you for not liking part of the game that we like. I know you probably want to play with your friends without being invaded, and PC has that option. Consoles, we don't. And I think it's better for it. Because like I said, these games wouldn't be the same if it didn't have PvP in it. And while you might move on to a different game tomorrow, I'm still going to be playing PvP. Because it's what I love to do. It's what I'm passionate about. And I like fighting other opponents that have minds and builds of their own. Well, that's about all I have to preach about today. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And until next time, have fun, my dudes.
Did you enjoy this video? Consider subscribing to the main channel at Mr. Nobody Elden Souls, where it's more focused on invading. Or the second channel at Nobody Elden Things, where its focus is on helping and will be the main hub for invading for dummies. Subscribe to both and I promise you will not be disappointed. Thank you for watching, my tarnished, and we will see you next time.
Like and subscribe or I'll deathblight you in your sleep. This message has been approved by the mayor of Froggytown.